Welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. If you are in the market for a newer pre-owned car, make sure you check out my guy Matt Bowers. They just opened up the pre-owned center at 3750 Vets. Swing by there, grab yourself a car, get the best price. And if you're in the market for a new car, you'll get the same experience, best prices, best customer service. Check out Matt. He'll get you right.
Let's
What do
get
we
into
got today? Yeah.
let's get into our first segment presented by Aaron Rose. Nick, we've talked all offseason how the Saints need to add a big pass catcher. During the first wave of free agency, they added Brandon Cooks, smaller guy but quick. During the draft, they really didn't target a big body wide receiver. But now in this second wave before the start of OTAs, should the Saints aggressively go after someone like Keenan Allen?
I think they need that type of player. I think that was the biggest miss in the draft for me is that they didn't find that type of pass catcher. Now, granted, I think they were just kind of prioritizing BPA and not putting current needs over future needs or inherent value, which I think I take a little solace in that actually, knowing that this is the most clear sign I think since 2015 that they are in a rebuilding process, that they didn't just go all out for what they need today. So on one hand, I like it. On the other hand, I hate it because I think this is a need since Mike Thomas rolled his ankle, and like I just don't think
Yeah.
it's ever been properly addressed. I do think a Keenan Allen makes a ton of sense, or somebody in that type of mold, a veteran receiver who can come in, help Tyler Shuck not just succeed, but also learn the ropes a little bit. But there might be more than one way to do this too. I don't think it's the end all be all. I think it's a major need. It's something they have to do, but I think if they don't address it, there is a way to win, and it just really comes down to how you design your offense. And if you want to play with speed demons all over the field and have separation monsters, you can create those big wide windows by having Brandon Cooks just run his way open, having Shaheed run his way open, have Chris Olave be a tactician and run his way open. Still one of the best pure route runners in the whole entire NFL. Olave is, but and then you just fill in those gaps with maybe your tight ends like Juwan Johnson and Tyler Shuck. They come in with some chemistry. Like I think he said they were roommates at one point, which is absolutely insane to
Wow.
think
Yeah.
about. Yeah, this is somebody that that's been in college for a really long time. Like it is wild to think about that they were at college together, let alone, roommates or whatever. But I still think it's a major need. I still think when you get down to the 7-yard line in the red zone and you got to make a play on third down and everybody's covered and there's no room to run your way open and the traffic's tight, you need that guy that can make a play. And boy, if Keenan Allen was on this team, I would feel a lot different about the offense.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the moves that were made, and then you look at the draft, it kind of solidified in my mind that the Titans were going to be looked at as, like you said, that big pass catcher, that big body receiver that makes those type of catches because you have such speed on the outside. But just looking at the list of available wide receivers, there's Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Nelson Aguilar, DJ Chark, Tyler Boyd, Elijah Moore, and Brandon Powell, just to name a few. But you look at Keenan Allen, that is a guy who's like 33 years old, so veteran presence, been in the league for a while, has some familiarity with this coaching staff. So I think adding someone like him, if in Olave, because these are guys who are great on the team, but they haven't completed full seasons in Olave and Shaheed. So if something were to happen to them, it gets kind of dark pretty fast in the receiver core, and you don't want to be left with finding someone like MVS at the latter half of the season to kind of fill in that role, because who says you hit on it again?
What was the second name you said?
Amari Cooper.
So I think Amari might look. I think Amari's no longer who he was. If
Yeah.
they signed him, I'm not saying it'd be like a bad signing or he couldn't contribute or couldn't kind of do some of the stuff they need him to do, but I would just caution people to know they aren't getting that player. I looked at him a little bit earlier this offseason. Um, he was a name that I was looking at that I got some pushback from people's talent evaluation skills I trust, just kind of about where he's at in his career right now. I think he could still do something, but I think if you were bringing him in, you'd have to bring him in at a very cost effective rate and be open eyed about it and not expect like Amari Cooper. Like you
That Amari
might,
Cooper, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I think you could still get something out of him, but if you're looking at him for a lot, which look, if you're signing a guy on April 30th, May 1st, May 15th, June 1st, like you aren't expecting a franchise changing talent at that point. But I think it would probably be like getting Jarvis at that point in his career where granted, injuries kind of cut that down. Like you might get some good games, but I think most weeks it's probably kind of quiet. Maybe a play here or there. If that's all you're looking for, I think there's still some value there. Yeah, Kellen Moore would know better than us if he's good off the field, if he's
Yeah.
a good culture builder, if he's someone that can kind of help, a young quarterback figure out how to navigate the NFL. Maybe there's some great value there. But yeah, I think on the field you aren't counting on him to be just like the defining player of your team. And I think at one point in his career he was that.
Yeah, and then even relating those same sentiments to Keenan Allen, that's someone who was with Caleb Williams during his rookie season and got to see kind of the struggles and the highs of that whole experience. Who says he wants to go through that again at this point of his career, or if he's just waiting for like a window to open up with the Eagles or with Kansas City, Baltimore, or Buffalo as one of those premier teams that can make a Super Bowl push at this point in his career? Because even just relating it back to the veterans on the Saints right now who have restructured their contracts before they realized that, the whole Derek Carr thing was going to happen. I think it's just, kind of important to keep that in mind too. But just adding along with that, you don't want to be totally dismissive kind of the UDFAs that were signed. I know we haven't had a chance to see them yet. We'll have a chance to see them during rookie minicamp, and if they survive past that in OTAs. But is there any name that stood out in that pool of players?
Not as far as like a difference, like no, not as a difference maker. Definitely not. I mean, like you're a guy that doesn't get drafted. I'm not counting on you before
Yeah.
I ever see you play to make a difference on the team, to contribute to a win or anything like that. You know, you, it's funny because like people get more hyped up about a UDFA than like a fifth round pick, and it's like the fifth round pick. Like nobody counts on a fifth round pick. It's just like, oh well, they just like got a guy there, and then it's like, oh man, this like gem. And look, there are gems there, but like they have to show themselves down the line. This is something that I feel like if you're gonna do, you need to address and like really address it. Maybe they're counting on some,
Yeah.
Kevin Austin growth. I would count on like Kevin Austin growth or like Bub Means or something like that more than I would, whoever they signed after the draft to a $30,000 guaranteed contract. I think you need to see that a little more. But yeah, look, if Keenan Allen's willing to come in though, like if he signs a contract, he signs a contract, and
Yeah.
he'd know what he's getting into. So that would be a good situation. He just did it last year, like you said. Again, Kellen Moore, someone that has familiarity with him. Maybe he knows what he's like behind the scenes and all that stuff. I think the willingness to do the Caleb Williams thing, that kind of shows that he's willing to do it. And he might be at a point in his career where he is chasing a ring, like you said, or he might be at a point in his career where he's still willing to take a little bit more money to come, play and do what he's got to do. It just really depends on what his priorities are. I think he'd have better opportunity here to make plays than he would in like Philly probably, or
Yeah.
even Kansas City. I think he's higher up in the pecking order right away. But it does say something that they went and got Brandon Cooks before him, but maybe Keenan Allen was just holding out to see what his options were too, post draft, wanted to make sure he was going somewhere where he's going to be a highly targeted individual or something like that.
No, yeah, that makes perfect sense. There's a lot of options to be weighed before, just signing with a team that's, you know, we'll talk about it later in the show, that's probably going to be bad this season.
Yeah.
Let's get into our next segment presented by Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant and Bar. We talked about some of the UDFA signings, but let's go back to the original picks that the Saints had made during the 2025 draft. Which one of those picks, kind of excluding Tyler Shuck from this, you can add him if you want, but I took him out for this exercise. Which ones do you feel like are the like real steals of the draft?
There's one, and it almost feels like cheating. It's Devin Neal.
Exactly, it's Devin Neal.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Devin Neal feels like that's someone with real legitimate production year after year after year, really big numbers. I don't think you see him as like a home run hitter or anything like that, but he's someone that I think can get a lot of yards, can be really productive, and it feels like he should be able to show up day one and really produce. I don't think there's a lot of projection there. There isn't, I felt really strongly about like Kendre at one point when they drafted him, but he was coming off an injury, and you're kind of overlooking that in the projection of everything. And then I think it's just the grasping of the playbook and everything too was an issue. And we saw him missing, like literally missing assignments late in the season, being lined up in the wrong spots, losing snaps because of it. Then you don't see him again. Um, so I think when you look at it like that, it is a steal. If just picking up the system, I think is something that's going to matter this year. And I think if Neil can do that, I'm not saying Kendrick can't pick up the system. I'm just saying we saw him have issues picking up the last
Yeah.
one and the one before that. If it's a problem this year, I think it gives Neil a really clear route to getting on the field. It's just being assignment sound could be the literal difference, and that's going to supersede talent every single time if you can just get on the field and not do the wrong things and be like solid in protection and a bunch of different stuff. I think it gives him a chance to really be a contributor very quickly.
No, for sure. And then like you just look at all of his production at Kansas and you're like, yo, this is a guy. Steal is the right word, but it's the nice word. Like you were able to come in and the night just snatch him up. And I was surprised he dropped that low. But man, what a guy to get. But this might be superficial, but it's kind of symbolic also. And me, I like the uniforms and stuff, so I'm gonna take it to this level. Kendra changed his number from 25 to 5, so maybe that clean slate, that fresh start is symbolic of the number change. But I think he hears the noise. Also, I think seeing that he's aware that hey, if I miss time again or if I blow all of this with these new people, that might be it for me. So I think he's taking it in a competition approach like that also. But since you said
Hold
Neil,
up. I hope he
you're
is.
good.
Like I hope
Yeah,
he is. I hope he is. I mean, I'll always believe in the talent is the talent. I mean, there's no doubt about Kendrick
yeah,
Miller is a running back, is his talent and his explosiveness and the stuff he can do. And even as a pass catcher, like he is a very talented, dynamic athlete. The problem is just been that he's had injuries and then he's been in his own way with the assignments. And there was stuff, can pull out clips, show them. We showed them last year in a film study article on our website. If you want to sign up for the website, use the code NOF, save 25% off your first payment. A lot of stuff going on there. John Hendricks is on the team now, so more value added there. But you could literally see him being lined up on the wrong side of the field and
yeah,
having to get realigned, and Spencer Rattler having to pull him over to the other side. I mean, that's not good. Like, it's just not good. He's in his own way there, but that doesn't mean he can't get it. I mean, if he figures out a way to figure that stuff out, then good. And I think he can be a really good player. If I were him, I would go spend some money and get one of these like grad assistants from Tulane just to come over, get the paint, or whatever, the whiteboard, paint a wall, and just be drawing up plays all day long with someone. Like,
yeah.
have your own little personal coach in your house, just doing that stuff all day long. Because, like, if he can figure that out, there's millions and millions of dollars on the other side of
That's
this,
right.
and a whole lot of yards and whatever he needs to do. I think. Look, if you don't get it now, and this is, it's tough. Like, you're in no man's land quickly if you don't stick this season. And I think his job's on the line. I don't think it's just a role. I think if he goes through camp, like, because he's not a third round pick of this group, he's just a guy on the roster who hasn't been able to produce the last 2 years, and his talent is unbelievable. Like, we shouldn't be talking about it in these terms. So
Yeah,
just you gotta grip it, and if you can grip it and you can do it, he can beat out this guy. Like, he's a third round pick. This is a sixth round pick. Like, you are scout wise, like, you are determined to be a more talented runner than this other individual. You can beat him out with your talent if you figure everything else out. And man, when he runs the ball, it's like dynamic. It is really there. It's just he just has not been able to keep himself on the field health wise and just through the playbook. And that's a huge, huge problem.
yeah. And last year, you heard everyone from the quarterback all the way down to the fourth string receiver talk about how complex the Clint Kubiak offense was. And I don't know, maybe during the time when he was rehabbing, he wasn't, doing double duty of learning the plays in the playbook, or he might just be the type of person that needs to physically be able to go out there and do it. But you talk about the article that was written on the website showing kind of his missteps when he started to get playing time towards the end of the season when he was healthy. So definitely, I think that this is his time. If he doesn't take it now, then that's it.
Yeah, it's absolutely it, and hopefully it is. I hope it is for him because I want to see it. Like, I'm still
Yeah.
waiting to see it. Nobody's believed in this guy's ability more than me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still not ready to throw out that ticket. I'm still waiting to hear that last number called. Like, I believe there's still a chance, but I mean, it's do or die time now for him, and I hope he gets it because, man, he really is a talented football player, and he's firmly on notice. Like, firmly on notice. hopefully the number change and all that stuff is symbolic of what
Yeah,
he's doing, and it manifests in a real way and isn't just you know
superficial. Yeah.
yeah.
Another player, Vernon Broughton. We talked about him on the stream. If you weren't in there, make sure that you're subscribed to NewOrleans.Football because we're going to be doing more with that platform. Um, Vernon Broughton was a guy that Bo Davis had at Texas, was able to kind of mold him into what he wanted to be, and now has him again. So I think someone like that you have familiarity with, that you can continue to develop into what you want, especially with this new 3-4 defense that Brandon Staley is bringing to New Orleans, I think is going to be very important moving forward because you're building the prototype of what you want this to look like in a certain extent. And that familiarity is good because you had them at 19, 20, 21 years old. And now you're catching them again and able to build off of all of those pieces and building blocks. And even like with his draft call, they let Bo Davis call him. So that relationship is there and it's healthy. And just continuing to do that. The way I saw the draft play out, they got Banks first because I think that's just the biggest need that you needed to fill. But then after that, it's like every position group got the equivalent of their first round pick with players available. Kellen Moore in the offense got Tyler Shuck. The defense got Vernon Broughton, and then the special teams got Sanker. So I feel like those type of players were, kind of giving a step to each new coaching staff on new coaching staff, but the subsections of the position groups to get their guy in there that they can build up as the prototype and as the future piece that when new players come in here they see, okay, this is how I want this operated, this is how I want this ran. And I think Broughton is going to be that type of player for the defensive line.
I hope so. I mean, yeah, and that's a good point that they kind of all got a guy. And Sacker obviously I think has a ton of defensive value, but yeah, the
Yeah,
special team stuff is
yeah,
unbelievable. Yeah, they all kind of left with something to feel excited about. I think. And Phil getting his guy in the fourth round is and he got the priority free agent punter afterwards.
yeah,
Like Phil's probably feeling great right now about what
yeah,
he's got on the special teams. And yeah, Sacker feels like one of them guys that can be like truly special and not facet of the game and be really good on defense. So like the 2-for-1 special there
yeah,
is great. So throw him on the list too. But yeah, I mean, like the Broughton the alignment with Bo Davis, I don't know, it says a lot. Like it says a lot. We put on the film like you said, and it was kind of like holy, like wow, like
yeah,
he can really
yeah,
do some stuff. I don't know that you were seeing a lot of his name in that range, so like I wasn't expecting him there, but yeah, I mean, and again, that doesn't matter at all. Like the funniest thing with draft rank or like the postmortem and the fan base is like people will be like, man, they drafted this guy too high. Like meanwhile, like they're like, ah, they passed on him, and no, they should have taken. Like, okay, like you're applying values, but like the player you wanted at 9, you could have got 134 picks later before he was selected. So like, who
yeah,
knows? Like who's right, who's wrong? Really now, like it just depends on what happens on the field. If they're right about the evaluation, but it's just funny these rankings we use to judge these picks, and then it's like they can be that far off, and it's just like, man, like you would have
yeah,
missed that value by 134 picks. Like
yeah,
that's crazy. And look, the whole league might be wrong, but that doesn't change the fact that's where you could have got him. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So yeah, we're gonna see on him. We're gonna see on him. But that was one that was I was surprised there. But then like the Bo Davis alignment, and then when you watch him, it's like, yeah, he has a chance. So they need players on that line too. And if he's good and you have a good interior pass rusher, I don't think anything changes your team more than like a very good pass rushing DT.
yeah.
I'm not projecting that on a third rounder, but if he can be like a difference maker there, that's huge.
No, for sure. And even if you talk about the grades, when I was young and green, I just used to put all my stock into, oh, what's the draft grade? Oh, what's the draft grade? Now I'm realizing you can't really even evaluate that until 3 years into the process when once this player begins to develop and really see kind of how they operate. So yeah, no, that's an excellent point about not putting too much into that.
Yeah, like people were high on the 15 class after the first year, and then Stephon Anthony just can't get it together, and
Yeah.
like Pete's not a tackle still, and all that stuff. So yeah, like it takes a little bit of time to kind of see where it ends up and all that. We'll see. We'll see who's right, we'll see who's wrong.
Yep. We're gonna hit a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll have more show. Keep it locked to New Orleans.Football.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering urban smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room, because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com.
Welcome back for more NOF. It is now time for our next segment presented by Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Nick, the Derek Carr saga, I mean, I'm hoping it ends just soon, but
Yeah,
it's just dragging along. Yesterday you tweeted, kind of going back to January 6th, the end of season press conference, some of the words that Derek Carr had said during that about the status of injuries at the time. Kind of what has developed from that? What do you see going forward? Kind of a little bit more about his speech on Sunday, the sermon he spoke at in Las Vegas. Just kind of where is everything at right now?
Yeah, I mean, like, first of all, thoughts, prayers, all that stuff to him and his wife, how they're having a miscarriage. It's a terrible thing, terrible
Yeah,
loss, terrible thing to find out, to be surprised by, as he said. Like, it's, you know, all that makes sense on why he hasn't been here to this point. And no judgment there. Take care of your family, do
yeah,
all that, get here after that. That's fine. That all makes sense. He said he has an MRI showing that he has an injury. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he went and got his own opinion on it and all that stuff. No doubt about it. So let's say all that stuff. Everything's true. Everything's as he says it is. Let's just say that. On the other side of that, though, like, it's still a very weird situation to me.
yeah.
Like, it's still very, like, he still wanted out of here. He still tried to get traded. He tried to get released, and then you have an injury that pops up in March, and then again, when it happened, we thought that was, hey, okay, that maybe that's possible. Maybe that's a thing that actually happened. He went outside, went to throw the ball. Ooh, it hurts. But like, it's just very hard to get your head around the whole thing. Like, on January 6th, he does this interview in the locker room, and he's asked directly, "Hey, do you need surgery on anything?" And he says, "Hey, everything's good. Like, had these scans, everything's going the right direction. We're going to be able to avoid that." He does say, barring a setback, which, okay, maybe he had a setback,
Good caveat.
but
Yeah,
yeah, and like, he didn't know, but he didn't know his shoulder was that bad in January, right? Like that's a little bit peculiar. You know, his brother said that went on NFL Network. We had heard it was the 23 AC joint.
Yeah, from
Uh,
the Green Bay game, right?
yeah, a lot of people had
Yeah,
heard that it was a 23 Green Bay game. His brother goes on NFL Network and says it was the dive against New York. You remember the one where he dove and then he broke the fall with his left hand and he broke his left hand
yeah,
and now
that
like
one.
the right shoulder is got hurt and now he's gonna miss the whole next season because like that's a hell of a fall. Like that's a lot of I mean, and
There's
look,
a lot of force behind it.
like
Yeah,
he came down kind of crazy. Like maybe that is how it happened, but like where it's hard for me to understand. And I would love to do an interview on this because like this is a legitimate blank for me, and I'm not throwing shade on any of this. Like
yeah, for
it's just
sure.
it's very hard for me to understand how he was attempting to throw in practice with a shoulder that was hurt so bad that he's gonna have to get surgery and it's gonna erase the whole next season potentially.
Right,
And the only issue that was spoken of by him, by anyone, was the grip on the ball. It wasn't that he couldn't get his arm up and throw, it was that he couldn't grip it. Like, we were told he was throwing the ball in practice, and, like, maybe it looked different, maybe it was oversold, I don't know, I don't think it was, but maybe it was. Maybe it was oversold when it was told. But he was able to go out to practice and throw the ball, but he couldn't grip it. And now in March, the shoulder it's just hard to understand. Like, and it all could be very true, and it could just
right,
all be very unfortunate, and
right,
it could all be that they just handled the communication on this incredibly, incredibly poorly, and it's all exactly as it seems. But man, it's just like it's just one of them things where you're just like, this is weird. Like it is weird. Not just because it's weird, it doesn't mean it's not true, but it does still mean it's weird. And like, I'm sorry. Like, I know Derek was like, and I understand. Like, if everybody's saying all this stuff about you and it's all lies and you're living this, like, it's probably incredibly frustrating. But like, on the other side of that, you got to have the awareness of like how weird and hard it is to understand it and like maybe make an effort to clean it up a little bit. And if you don't clean it up, you just got to be okay with people talking about it. But you can't say, like, you're pissed off about how everybody's talking about this and there's no information offered to anyone. There's no questions being answered and wonder why it's going on. Well, it's going on because like it's just like not been addressed at all. And you have to
yeah,
understand it's weird. Like all that had to be done is like someone behind the scenes goes, "Hey guys, this is off the record, but just for your own knowledge, like Derek got hurt against the Giants, went out to try to throw shoulder. He has a family issue he's dealing with, and like we're just not going to say anything about it right now." And like everybody would just be like, "Oh, okay," like and just be like, "Yeah, look, we're gonna have to wait and see how this one plays out." You tell people, adults, that you have a family issue, you don't have to explain it. It's just
right.
like, "Oh, okay," like something's going on here, and we're all compassionate enough individuals, like that you're just going to leave it alone. And even if you're an asshole and you don't want to leave it alone, you're going to leave it alone because you don't want to be an asshole in public. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so,
Yeah,
so that's going to put the fire out, but like the fire burns and there's no info. And we all know you were trying to get out of here. And there were all the back channel ways of like that message getting out to everybody in the world, that to the point where it was just like, even after the restructure, there was still people on national TV talking about how the door was open for Derek to be traded still. Like that message got out, but this one didn't. And that's why it happens like that. So like to stand up there and to throw shade at Diana Rossini is crazy to me. Like if she's wrong about it, say she's wrong about it. But like to be dismissive and say it in that manner, like I just feel like the communication of this has been handled very, very poorly. And shout out to Diana, top 5 reporter of all time covering the NFL, does an amazing job. Most accurate like reporters out there. Shout
there
out
we
to
go. Yeah,
Diana.
yeah. Shout
Yeah.
out to Diana. She's nice. Yeah, I met her a couple times. She's pretty nice.
She's great at her job. Like that's all
Yeah,
that matters. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But prefacing this with this could all be true. You know what I mean? With the circumstances of his injury, but I just like you said, I find it so weird that you have this hokey pokey injury where you put your left hand in and now your right shoulder is hurt.
Yeah, it's
And then
crazy. Yeah.
yeah, and then you just don't communicate it at all. And then on top of that, now you go on the biggest communication channel in the world in YouTube. And, of course, all of that is probably pre taped and all of that type of stuff. But the feel and the timing and everything like of that is just so odd to me.
Yeah, and look again, like he came down like straight down, like he did. He might have hit it and like crashed.
Yeah.
He got a concussion on it too. Like maybe it all happened, but it's just like, man, like you hit your left hand, like, and like maybe it did, but like just everything added together is just
Yeah.
it's like, damn, he hurt his right shoulder on that. That's crazy. But like then you go back and there's no mention of it. It's not on the injury report. He's not talking about it. Rizzy's talking about how close he is to being able to throw.
Right.
It's detailed everywhere about
Yeah.
like shooting up the hand and all this stuff. And like Derek didn't say anything about his shoulder being hurt. Like there's just nothing there. So it's just there's gaps in all this. And again, like it might be true. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying there's gaps and it's hard to understand it. But there's hard to understand things that end up being true all the time. But as we sit here today, it just all still smells weird. And then they draft a replacement. Like it just feels like just let him go.
Yeah.
Just let him go. Set him free. Set him free. Set him free. Set him free. Like just
You lost the
it's,
40 M's. That's just let that be that. And yeah.
try to get it back if you can. Like I think that's the whole thing. But yeah,
Okay.
look, I think the whole thing with playing it nice, playing it safe, nobody's saying anything. I think they all want to try to reach some type of resolution to get it out of here, and they're gonna let the world burn down around it. To go up there like that, if that's what's going on, like
Yeah.
whatever. Like I understand he's probably really frustrated, and he's been through a lot in his life, and like you have a like trying to put myself in his shoes. Your family experiences a miscarriage. Everybody's talking shit. Like you think you're really hurt. Like, you probably are, whatever. Like it's
Right.
probably very hard to deal with. And it's probably very hard to have the perspective of like stepping out and being like, why is this situation like this?
Right.
It's just probably a lot to deal with. So I get it from his perspective, like putting myself in his shoes and then you're on that. Like, I get it. I understand. But like, there is still like, sitting on the other side of it. And like, it's still weird, man. And like, we
Something
still don't know
smells
what's
funny.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We still don't know what's going on. Do you want to be a member of this team? Are you going to show up and mentor these guys? Are you going to be bought in on the process? Have you talked to Kellen Moore? Okay. We know you have one time. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you getting bought into this? Like where are you at within this? Because you moved out of here. Your house is about to go up for sale, probably. Like your kids are going to school in Fresno, and then you tried to get a trade. Like, so where are you at in this? And now they just drafted a guy. Like, where are you at in this? Like, we haven't seen you. This is going on. Like the OTAs are going on, and like or whatever. The
The
OTAs are
offseason.
going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The and again, and again, I get you not being here right now, but are you coming and when? Like, what is the deal? Like, what is going on? Um, be there for your wife for as long as you need until everybody's healed and safe and, feeling good. Where was this? This thing was in Vegas. Like,
Yeah.
but like, I guess, like, but like, could you fly? Like, I just I don't know. Like, it's weird that Mickey Loomis is like, hey, we're trying to get clarity on the situation. Why doesn't he have clarity? Like, it's both sides. Like, it's just, and it's probably going to settle itself or whatever. But like, until it does, it's just a very hard thing to understand overall. And again, total sympathy. But as a reporter, I have a job to do too, and I'm trying to piece this together.
Yeah.
And maybe some things aren't for me to know. You got a family thing, all that stuff. That's nobody's business. Like that didn't have to be put out there. But like on April 11th, whenever this leaked, by April 12th, like when it's starting to like become a runaway train, somebody somewhere should have got a message about something. And it doesn't have to be me, but like somebody somewhere, Mike Garafalo, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, Diana Rossini, Tom Pelissero, Josina Anderson, like Jordan Schultz, like somebody somewhere should have got a message. This is what Albert Breer would have been a great outlet for it. Hey, here's the behind the scenes on it. Like this is what somebody somewhere should have got a message to put out this fire. And like it didn't happen. And like I just don't get why it was handled like this. I just don't get it. And maybe there's a reason for it that I can't see, but I just like, I'm just ready for it to be done, man.
Yeah.
Like I just
So
am.
am
Like
I.
it's just exhausting at this point.
Yeah.
Like let's just move on. Like you just drafted this dude, like just move on. And I think ultimately that's where it ends up. I cannot picture him playing quarterback for this team. Maybe he's more bought in than anybody knows, but boy, we know you tried to get traded. So
Yeah. And then we got head proof on everybody else, all those other veterans who are at the facility who are, doing a whole bunch of other things team related. And look, man, it's just a wild situation. It's a weird situation, but I've seen the okey doke run before on other levels. This kind of smells like that.
I mean, it could be, and again, like I keep feeling like, man, he should be there, but then like he does have this family situation going on, so I'm not going to ostracize him for not being there day one, bought in, everything. Like maybe that eventually comes, and maybe there is a hey, f you, everybody was wrong. I'm here, I'm bought in. I'm going to mentor these guys, surgery or not. Like this is what I'm going to do. I'm bought in on the system. Maybe he ends up showing it, but it's just hard to see it right now.
And you see in player tweets about how they're just listing other quarterbacks and he wasn't listed in there.
Yep.
So
it's just look, like it's very hard to have any other perception other than this is weird.
Yep. We're going to hit a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll have more show. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Hey, if you're into the fried stuff, and let's be honest, who isn't? Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant just stepped it up. Their new cheese sticks actually stretch. The fried okra is crisp and seasoned just right. And the fried green tomatoes, that crawfish cream sauce takes it over the top. They're open every day, and they deliver late when the cravings hit. Bobby Hebert's Cajun Cannon Restaurant. Delicious food, superior service. Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Welcome to the Queen Casino, the crown jewel of entertainment destinations. From the thrill of gaming, where every spin and deal brings you closer to fortune, to the excitement of sports betting, where you can feel the rush of victory. Our spaces and catering menu are perfect for any event. From business meetings to grand celebrations, immerse yourself in our vibrant atmosphere with live music that keeps the party going all night long. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back for more NewOrleans.Football. It is now time for our final segment presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Today's question of the day comes from David Tucker. David Tucker asks, what are the top 3 reasons for hope about the Saints the next 2 seasons?
Also, check out Hard Hide Peach. They got that one. Look for the orange bottle. Top 3 reasons for hope over the next couple seasons. I'll go first. I'll put the it might be a source of despair, but the source of hope for the Saints is that Kellen Moore is building his offense around a quarterback that he wanted and he picked. And even if it is terrible, I think it makes the team incredibly interesting, at least for a while. And I'm excited to see that process. So I don't know if it's hope for them, but like it's hope for more interesting viewing at the very least.
I'm going to go second. I'm going to stick on the offense, and I'm going to say the offensive line to see what kind of protection is up there for whoever is behind them at quarterback. And you said the next 2 seasons, so see what Penning can do this year, and then see what happens next year. Who gets moved around, who gets placed where. You and Mike on Monday's show for the question of the day kind of did a week 1 offensive starter projection, and you went through some scenarios with the offensive line. I kind of would like to see all of those play out just to see where everyone can fit and who fits there the best.
Yeah, and look, I mean, if Fuaga's good and Banks is good, having those 2 tackles is something that you can build a whole team around if both those guys play up to their draft status. So possibly a very, very legitimate, strong reason for hope. Probably should have been number 1 on this list. Honestly, that's the you just got Jason Tatum. That was a 3rd pick, but like I took Fultz and you ended up with Tatum in this draft. I made the
Fultz is crazy.
Yeah, well, like you know what I mean. Like I just think it's a better pick. I think it's a better pick, but I think one should have been on the list, but just probably not a one. You got the best pick. I said number 3 is that I don't think they're overly committed to anything. So they're in a position where they can walk away from anything if it doesn't work. If the quarterback, it'd be crazy to know that within a year, but if you know it within a year that isn't the answer and you're picking high next year, you aren't committed to the point where it would be insane. It would taking a quarterback of 40, and let's say you end up with number 1, and let's say he's even good, it would be insane not to draft Arch is entering and he looks, he looks the part, and you got the number 1 pick in the draft, you would be insane not to pick Arch next year and trade the quarterback you have now. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
don't think you are overly committed to anything in an anchoring point on the roster where you can't move on from it at this point. And I think that's a good place to be, actually. Like, for where they're at, they aren't tied into anything, and they're actually rebuilding this thing. And I think that's a reason for hope. Either you're right or you're wrong, but you can move on.
Hey, like Robert De Niro said in Heat, don't get too attached to anything that you can't walk away from in 30 seconds flat. That's where they're at right now.